Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. Welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast, and it is my absolute pleasure. Now, he may not call himself a professional surfer, but he's got a massive surfboard behind him, which you can't see because he's now blacked it out. But looking forward to this conversation. I want to welcome to the podcast David Fullmer to the podcast. Welcome.
Aloha, Darren. How you doing, brother?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you going?
Man, it gets any better. I'm going to need a bad attitude.
So not only are you a surfer, you actually base yourself in Hawaii. You're the creator of B7, the superhuman rhythm, but also run a business, FBC Roofing, in Hawaii. And you just said before we pressed record that you've trained hundreds, if not thousands, of salespeople in your career. A lot of them door to door, and you said it's one of the best things ever.
Oh
Door
yeah.
slammed in your face.
You want a degree in communication? Go knock doors for a straight year, and you pretty much have a 4-year degree in communication for sure.
And isn't it interesting? I'm not sure what happens in Hawaii, but in most places in Australia now, they've actually banned door-to-door sales, apart from certain things that you're allowed to do. What's it like over there now? Do you still have people pounding the
Oh,
pavement?
yeah, my guys have been arrested before. We've been chased out of uh, private home developments. You know, the gated communities. You wait for the gate to open, and then you go sneak in, and then you get chased out, and it's all good. I mean, it's just a fun thing. There's nothing better than the challenge of having a no, no, no and flipping it into a yes. And it's the same thing with business to business. When you have the right communication, once you can figure out what someone's needs are and what they really need, and if you can help them, then and you have a solution, then all the no's I just don't hear them, you know?
Yeah, but
It's,
it's just the process, isn't it? And I mean, I'd love to delve into your background shortly, but there's a lot of people that don't have, I guess, the persistence, the tenacity, or the attitude to be able to go through that in order to being able to withstand all the no's before they get a yes.
they don't have the right tires to get up the bell curve. It's a bell curve. It all sounds good when they tell you about the money, and then you hit the transition of the bell, and you're like, wait a minute, this sucks. But if you
Yeah.
can wait, I mean, during the Great Depression, there were more millionaires made from sales than anything else. Sales, everything that you see, touch, and feel today had to be sold by someone and
Mm.
one of the greatest ever careers you could have is in sales, whether B2B or business to consumer. I love sales. I love people. I love solving problems. And that's all that you are is a
Mm.
relationship builder and a problem solver. And you can make money and have fun doing it.
It's interesting you say that because I often say to people that sales is the ultimate form of service and it is one of the greatest professions on the planet. And you're so right. Everybody's in sales, whether you're selling a product or selling an idea, everybody is in sales. But it's funny when you ask people, what do you think about sales? They don't necessarily have a good thing to say, most of them.
Yeah, and that's fine. I had to really put the full court pressure to sell myself to my wife, and she bought it line and sinker. She didn't know about the warranty program. I had to tell her later about that. But yeah, you're right. We sell ourselves every day. We all of us have to put ourselves in an environment to portray something that's valuable to us and the way that we feel, look, dress, all of it. There's so much sales and it's all around us. It's just for us to open up our eyes and see it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So, mate, I'd love to delve into because I want to talk about becoming seven and the I guess the odyssey you're on now. But where did it all start for you? I'd love to sort of delve into the background of what has made David Fullmer the person that he is today. And did you fall into this thing called sales, or is it something that has just evolved?
Well, I've been self-employed since I was 14,
Okay.
and I did all the way up until about 28 years old. I didn't even know you could have sales guys working for you. I was the top sales guy every year. Um, but yeah, I mean, at an early age, I had to learn to communicate. I moved 29 times by the time I was about 18, 19. My
Wow.
family, I'm a family of 13 children. And I had quite a troubled youth. I'm the black sheep of 13 children. And I got incarcerated 12 times. I was taken from my family and put in a group home. And I went to 4 different youth programs until I kind of got my life straight. Fortunate for me, I had an amazing mom who loved me and saw potential in me. I remember one time the day that the judge had taken me from my family. My mom could visit me one last time, before they sent me off to this wilderness program.
Yeah.
And my mom came in the visiting room, and I started to make up every excuse I could think in the world why why I was there. And she just, clasped her hands on my face and gave me a big hug, looked me in my eyes and says, "Dave, you have so much potential. And I want you to know that there's nothing in this world you could ever do to make me not love you."
Mm.
And that was the one person, because at the time I was in a dark place. And a lot of times, a lot of us are in a dark place. And if we look around, there's usually one person that loves us.
Yeah.
And that's enough to hang on to if there's just one.
Mm.
And ultimately that was huge for me, going back into the memories. And another one was my dad, who was one of the first handful of employees for Stephen Covey, who wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. My dad was a sales guy. He did, I mean, he was in insurance information sales before the internet even hit in the 80s. This guy was
Yeah. Okay.
he was hilarious. But I mean, I used to cruise up and down PCH Coast with my dad, listening when I was like 7, 8 years old, listening to Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Earl Schoaf, Napoleon Hill. And so I had all this stoicism poured into my mind as a as a real young kid. And so when I hit those tougher times and I was trying to figure out my life, and I knew I didn't want to live the way I was living. Those were the things, the rocks that I digged into, was the unconditional love of a mother and a very stoic way of thinking of a
Mm.
father, and also dealing with loss. Some of us run away and so afraid of loss. We're so afraid of the boogeyman in the room. And every time I moved to a neighborhood, I met a kid and I never had a best friend. It was like, "Hey, see you later, next." And then
Yeah.
I fit in, figure out how to communicate and get to know people, make friends, and then boom, again, see you later. And I was so pissed off at my parents for years until I really started becoming a man and really becoming into myself. And I was like, dude, I can communicate like an animal. I can get
That's
out of,
good.
I can see people's, the way they're communicating and the way their expressions on their face. I can read the room, and I would have never had those skills had I not lived in 6 different states
Mm.
and 29 times. I had dealt with so much loss and change that I realized that's all life was change. And
Mm.
that the past, I don't have anything around me. I own nothing. The only thing I own is my ability to think and my ability to choose in this very moment. And when that light bulb went off, it was like game on. And then it took a decade of losing everything. I was big into real estate. I was multimillionaire by the time I was 28, running a very successful masonry business. I had a 400 home development in Hawaii. I had, I was closing on another 105 acres across from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, and Famous Beach. And I had multiple homes. And then all of a sudden, everybody started talking about a recession in '07, late '07. And I was like, I got this, because I was
Yeah.
Captain Positive. And it was like, oh, I got this. Don't worry. It can't be that bad. And then it was just like, selling asset and then contracts drying up. And it was like, whoa, this is getting heavy. This is getting real. And I fell into a deep depression for about a year. I mean, I just couldn't move
Mm.
and I couldn't, we had to, we filed bankruptcy. It was just too heavy. The pressure was too heavy. And my wife and I decided, we're going to live on the North Shore into the one house until they take that. So we lived in that house for 2 years until the bank took that one.
Yeah.
And I started all over. And it was in that darkest hour that I realized the power of writing things down, the power of dreaming. And there was a particular moment in my darkest moment where I literally could not move. Like all I wanted to do was surf. I think I surfed for like 5 months straight. We lived on government assistance. My wife was driving this dually dump truck with no AC. And she was just like, you got this, Dave, get up. I'm like, babe, it's like we lost everything, and it was just a dark, dark time for me. And we had just moved to Hawaii and we're going through our bankruptcy proceedings. And I just I didn't see any light in my life. All my focus was on the loss. It was just
Yeah.
complete loss. And we sold everything when we moved from Utah back to the North Shore. And we had two little 4x4 pallets of like our personal belongings, and they were shipped. We flew ahead of time, and then they shipped the things later. And this particular day, I took my oldest son, Simeon, I have 3 sons, to his very first day of elementary school. He was going into the kindergarten. He was 5 years
Yeah.
old. And I took him to school and I came home and the pallets were fresh. I unlocked the pallets and I'm going through some old memories. I'm sobbing like life sucks. This is all I own. I got these two, they're taking my house and I got these 2 pallets. That's all I own. Little 50 dirt bike because I raced motocross for years. And those were 2 things I wouldn't give up because I love riding the dirt bikes with my little kids. But at any rate, I pulled out I was going through some memories and I pulled out our wedding day and there was a book in there,
Hmm.
a white page where everyone signed and gave us best wishes. And on that page was a contract that I completely forgot about. And the contract said, because I went home, my wife and I went home from our wedding. She's pregnant. She's 3 months pregnant. We were engaged for a year and a half, and she happened to get pregnant during our engagement.
Yeah.
And we're on the bed, and I was like, all right, we're married. What do we do next? And we just sat there in this quiet space, 2 newlyweds. She was only 19. I was just turned 25. And we just said, we want to raise our kids by the beach. And so I said, I agree. I don't care where it is, if it's Hawaii or California. We want to raise our kids with the sand in their toes. That's what we were laughing about. And we wrote down a contract and it said, we will live, sorry, by the ocean no later than our son Simeon. And he's in her stomach.
Yeah.
And we will live by the ocean no later than Simeon's first day of school. And
Wow.
on the very day I read that contract and we both signed it. And it was like lightning had struck, Darren. I can't explain it. I get chickens and skins thinking about it. And it was like God was coming out of the sky and saying, you got this.
Yeah.
This is the process. These trials and these hiccups don't define you, but the
Mm.
way you react to them define you. And it was like the Energizer Bunny, dude. You ever seen Power of Grayskull? And I was just like, oh, I've got this. And then it was instant. It was like my brain, I started thinking of all the things I could do. And even in my business, because I was a contractor in Hawaii, and I started reaching out and it was like, wait a minute, I'm exactly where I plan to be. I signed a
Mm.
contract with myself. I told the universe no later than this date, I'm going to be by the beach. And I had to lose everything to get it, but I got what I wanted. And so that was a very defining moment in me. And I think a lot of us, we get so caught up in the areas that we find ourselves, even in business, it's like things don't go the way that we want. And so we're constantly focusing how things aren't going the way we want, that we don't get myopic on the one thing we can control, which is the
Mm.
present in front of us. Let's attack. What is the
Yeah.
most necessary thing that I can do today? And I'm going to focus on that, and all the noise and the gerbils in the brain and all, because everyone's got 100 gerbils in their brain and 80% of them are negative.
That's
And
it.
then of them that are trying to rally all the troops, like, come on, guys, we got this. And so that was a huge turnaround for me. And it was then that I realized the power of writing things down, the power that dreams come true,
Mm.
and realizing that nothing will ever happen to me. It will only happen for me.
It's a great perspective. And when you think about that, what were the odds at that moment? You're actually going through on the pallet and you see your wedding contract and you've written it down. I was like, it was, and as you were talking, I'm thinking that scene from the Blues Brothers when they're in the church and the sun just beamed straight away and he says, "We're on a mission from God." And he says, "The band, Elwood, the band."
I mean, it was like getting struck by, I was like, how is this possible that I dropped my son off and, and I'm reading this and it was like, it wasn't real. It was
Mm.
almost like magical, like, holy smokes, I put myself here.
Yeah.
Might not be the best circumstance, but I dreamed myself here.
Well, and the thing that I want people to realize as you've just shared that story, and it's a really powerful story, is it'd be very easy for you to look back on your life up until that point and say, all this happened to me, and maybe why, versus you said, you know what, it was your perspective, and you said, this is exactly where I needed to be, and I had to go through what I had to go through in order to experience this particular moment. Now you've got some choice over what you choose to do next. And you said, with all these gerbils in your head, you got one choice and one thing to do today. And I'm going to focus on that one thing.
Yeah. And no downtime will ever define a human being. Only the way they react to it.
Mm,
So the way that I react, my attitude towards the situation that I'm in is who I become.
mm,
And anyone that steps up and has a good attitude and says, "Yeah, I've been dealt a bad hand, and I might have to have a poker face for a minute, but you know what? I'm gonna stay in the game. I'm going
yeah,
all the way."
yeah,
And things, when you do that, it defines you, and you become so in tune with yourself, and you become more resilient. It's almost to the point where you start asking God, just you stop asking for for these bad things to not happen to you, and you just ask, just give me strength to go through the things you give me. That's it. I don't know what's coming, but I just want the strength to get through it. That's it.
Well, as you were talking, because your story is phenomenal. All right, one of what is it, 13 children, incarcerated a number of times, but you had two key people who obviously left an indelible mark on you. That's your mother and your father. And listening to Jim Rome tapes and Tony Robbins tapes, but then having your mum say, um, you've got unlimited potential, and that because a lot of people don't have that person who's in their corner no matter what. And the attitude to say, you know what, it doesn't matter what happens to me, I still have the ability to choose my response to what happens to me is really powerful. But a lot of people don't actually think like that and they become the victim to everything. And they say, you know what, I can't be successful because look at my background. I remember Tony Robbins talking about a couple of people. One was, well, they were twins, and one was really successful and one wasn't. And the whole premise of it was the person who was successful said, well, my father was an alcoholic, hence I've had to become successful. The other twin said, well, my father was an alcoholic and that's why I'm not successful. So, same circumstances, but different choices in terms of what they made at me and what they therefore did moving forward.
Yeah, and I always say, everyone's family's different, but there's one thing humanity shares. The average person alive today has 4,098 grandmas and grandpas' DNA floating through them. So we're cousins. You and I are you and I share the same grandma and grandpa. And everyone's life is different, but you're not getting out of humanity because you're
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
And we're also interconnected with social media and experience, the rate that information travels. And I can tell you right now, I had great, loving parents, but I was a maniac. You
Mm.
wouldn't think, be like, geez, I bet his parents were alcoholics and drug addicts. And no, they weren't. I was just an idiot. And so your parents don't define who you become. You do, and that's just the way it's going to go. And one of my biggest mentorship were dead people:
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, Napoleon Hill. I never knew Napoleon Hill, but I studied his writings. I
Mm.
never knew Marcus Aurelius. He lived 150 AD.
Yeah.
Listening to him today, I know everything about his life. The guy was a legend. Now,
Absolutely.
some of the biggest impacts in my life, aside from having a loving mom and a witty father, man, some of the biggest breakthroughs I had was listening to these dead mentors.
Mm.
They're amazing. There's so much shelf space out there. There's so much. The more food you put in your brain, the more food you can fit in the fridge.
That's
It's
it.
like so it's like, well, I can't, I'm not a good learner. That's because you're not learning. It's time. The more you learn, the more you can learn. The more you read, the better you can read. It's our brains are the most powerful engine on earth. And as you just shove stuff into it, there's more stuff you can fit. It's the craziest thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the key point I want to make there is that you can read, absorb stuff, but you've still got to do stuff. Because remember back in the I think it was 2007-ish, 2008, the Secret came out. Maybe around about that time, maybe a little bit earlier. And they talked about this, you're talking about dreams and manifestation and law of attraction. Um, Great marketing ploy, but they actually forgot to say that we still have to work, right? So work is like building your business in the roofing contractor space. That would have taken work. You would have been knocked down many, many times, and that still takes work. But you still got to have the vision of what you want to create, but the work has to go with it as well. And you got to continue to learn, which is what I love.
That's why there's only one day. When I was coming across B7, um, Monday, more people have heart attacks from 8 a.m. to noon on Monday than any other day. And it
Mm,
doesn't matter where you live, and it doesn't matter your cholesterol level or your ethnicity. You're dead because you don't know why you're alive. So what's your body and your heart's like, well, I'm just going to give up on this one because life sucks. And then you kill over. You're like, no, no, traffic. You know what I mean? There's guys with good hearts that have heart attacks. There's guys with terrible hearts that live a long time.
yeah,
So that's why it's Motivation Monday. But your life it's like an electric car or a regular, gas car. You've got to fuel it up, but you
yeah,
don't sit at the gas station and keep fueling, or it's just going to pour out the gas tank. And that's a lot of people. They just go from motivational speaker to book to book to book to book, and they're just like, yeah, one day.
yeah.
So there's one day set aside to fuel up, and then you got a whole nother 6 days, dude. And it's time to put the shoulder to the wheel. It's time to start packing bricks up a hill. Because I'm a
That's it.
mule, I'm a donkey, I'm ready to lift. But
Yeah,
Monday, boy, I'm gonna get ready for that week because Motivation Monday. I'm gonna review my why, what, when, and how. I want to know what I want. I want to know how I'm gonna get it, and I want to know why I want it, and I'm gonna go after it. And what do I got to do today to get it? And then you get up and you start going, and that's
yeah.
percent. You can't live on motivation alone. Like Jim Rohn said, you'd be a motivated idiot.
That's right.
In our hands is a big motivated ding dong going from seminar to seminar, and it's like, dude, yeah, you got the power of the secret. You know the secret, but geez, you sure hasn't lived it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about becoming seven. So how did that come about, and what was the catalyst behind becoming seven, which was B7 for short?
Well, like I said, going through bankruptcy, built another business. 2016, I almost lost everything again and built it back up, and then had a rough, rocky road in 2023, 2024. Actually, when I was trying to write my book, and now I'm back on the upswing. It seems like, turbulence comes and goes, and just through that, I always had whisper in the wind Wednesday. That
Okay.
was my day of intuition. And so I would turn my cell phone off. I'd go walk and hug some trees, go on a hike, ground myself at the beach, surf, no meetings, shut everything off, tune everyone out. And then when I came across the Monday fact, and it was like everyone's having heart attacks on Monday. And then I grew up in a religious family, and it was like dad's gonna throw water on me Sunday morning. I gotta get up and put church clothes on, or I'm gonna get 16 ounces of H2O on me right in my bed. I'm like, dude. And I was always like, why is Sunday a special day? What about all the other days? And after living Wednesday and knowing about Sunday, when I came across that stat on Monday, I was like, wait a minute. And it was just like that time I read that letter, that contract me and my wife wrote out. It was like being struck by lightning. It's like, what if as human beings, we experience similar things on the same day of the week? Because everyone knows it's Sunday. The grocery store's not open. Everybody's like, oh, it's Sunday, right? Nothing's open, you know? And then Monday, everybody's having heart attacks. I'm like, frick, dude, we're all connected. And so I started just examining the human experience, just studying and studying. And then I was like, wait a minute, Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Dude, it's Thankful Thursday. It's a day of gratitude. And then I just dove down, and I was like, wow. So I broke down. That was on my path to breaking down each day of the week, having a superhuman rhythm, a intention. And I took 7 superhuman attributes, attached to the day of the week, because Darren, you and I have brain tracks. I told you about 4,098 grandmas and grandpas. You're telling me they don't pass on that vibration, that intention, that feeling? Well, they do. And every day of the week, you and I are feeling the same stress on Monday. And guess what? We're totally pumped on Friday.
Yeah.
Everybody. Look, Derek, when do you hear bad news? They drop it on Friday. When do you fire that annoying guy? You do it on Friday. You
That's
got to
it.
do it so he doesn't go postal on everybody and start acting like a maniac, right? Because his cortisol levels are low, his dopamine's high because his buddy just texts him and say, hey, are you coming to the party? And he says, yeah, I'm coming to the party. And then he gets a text from his boss. His boss says, hey, by the way, you're fired. And he's like, well, at least I'm going to the party, right? And we're all experiencing these things the same. And so I figured out the human condition, and I was like, well, I've been to all these seminars, I've read all these books, and everybody's got 3 steps to that, 2 steps to that. And I can't remember them all the time, and I don't know when to implement them.
Yeah.
So when I came across, I was like, and my dad always used to tell me about generational brain tracks and human brain tracks. So what if you and I, which I know we do, and that's what I thought, what if we have these brain tracks? If I attach a superhuman attribute to a brain track and I live it for 2 weeks, holy smokes, I'll never forget it. I can
Mm.
go into the Dave, it's Thankful Thursday today, right now. Darren, you can't live B7 for 28 days. That's my starter guide. You cannot live it for 28 days. You'll never forget it. It's never going away. It will be tattooed in your brain because your energy and your stress on your body is already experiencing these things. And so
Mm.
that's what came about. And that was B7, Becoming 7. It's the ultimate guide to becoming an amazing superhuman and maximizing your talents, finding what they are, what do you want out of life, and going after them. But I don't write this, I don't give you the exact, I can't tell you exactly how you're going to be an incredible,
Yeah.
real estate professional. I mean, I could sit down with you, help you. I've done a ton of real estate and I love it. But you still have your culture and your way of doing things in Australia. But I tell you what, if you live this intention every day, you will find it.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to save anybody. So if you're listening to this podcast, ain't no one coming with a get out of jail free card. The
No,
answer is inside of you. It
that's it.
lives, and that's where becoming is. And once you have a daily rhythm, I mean, you can take water and put it in two silos, play beautiful symphonious music, vibration in one silo, and freeze the water as it hits the ground. And you can take another silo and play chaotic freaking headbanger ball music. And when it hits the ground, you go put the two different snowflakes under a microscope. The beautiful organized symphony rhythm, if it's in rhythm, will be absolutely perfect
Yeah.
shape and symmetrically dialed down to the nanonite.
Yeah.
The snowflakes with the chaotic music, they're all broken up and they're all kapakai bus up. You know what I mean? So all I'm saying is our lives are the same way. When you get into a flow state and you know your rhythm and you have your daily intention, you start eliminating unnecessary friends, unnecessary places, unnecessary things, and you get myopic on what needs to be done. You talk about guys like Elon Musk or high level humans.
Yeah.
They don't, they have fun too. But when it comes to work, they know exactly this is necessary. I'm brutally honest because everybody listening to this show, deep in their heart of hearts, they get that white piece of paper you showed me before the end of the show, and they got a pen, and they were brutally honest with themselves and said, "I am 20 times. I am this. I am this. I am this." They're going to look at it and go, well, "Wait a minute. I don't want to be that, but that's who I'm being. I can
Yeah.
change that. I can change that. I want to be more like that." And then you start eliminating the unnecessary. And the rhythm, the flow is so much faster when you have a daily intention, when you wake up. And so that's kind of where the B7 came from and evolved from.
So you talk about daily intentions. What are some of the other, because I love that, right? So waking up and when I do workshops, I'll often jest in like, but often I'm actually quite serious because I'll say to teams, particularly sales teams, that guys, Monday by far is the best day of the week for you, isn't it? Because you absolutely love what you do and you cannot wait to get straight into it. And they look at me, oh yeah, whatever. And Friday's by far the worst day because you've got to take 2 days off from the stuff you love. Now they think, well, hang on, that's the opposite. I hate Mondays and I love Fridays because of what you talked about before in terms of parties and all that sort of stuff. But it is an intention. So I love the fact that you actually start with a definitive daily intention and everything flows from that. If you wake up and start today and say, you know, my intention today is to be of service to everybody I come across, right? It's to say hello to people, look people in the eye and smile, whatever it is, you'll actually start to see that everything around you starts to be really different and really positive. I'm really curious, what are some of the other key principles that you've built B7 all on?
Well, first of all, one thing all of us as humans to be really high level is we have to have an absolute epic AM PM game. We have to win the day when everyone else is sleeping.
Yeah.
And and I can show you every high level human that's ever lived and done great, they were always up before the sun was up. So if you like sleeping in, that's fine, but so do I. But one thing I do know, and I ain't gonna lie to myself, what I know is what is in the history books is high level humans wake up early and high level humans review at the end of the day. And so in my book, I have what it's called the AM PM game, and it becomes that game. Beginning of the year, I challenged everyone to do 100 days of 5:30 a.m. every day, wake up and have a routine and have their routine. And it was just fun. But I can I'll run through the days really quick, and then we can rest on that. So we were talking about Monday, so that's Motivation Monday, and that's the day that I review my why.
Yeah.
That's the day that I wake up and combat. And you talked about the guys when you're training salespeople, they're like, Monday. Yeah, you some of the strongest, most powerful animals on the American frontier, the prairie, were the buffalo
Mm.
and the bison. These guys, when they saw a storm, would turn around, face the storm, and they run at it. And they would get through it as a team.
Yeah.
And so, how do you combat the mundane Mondays with Motivation Monday? I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to answer the question, why am I in this job? What do I want out of it eventually? And where is it going to take me eventually? And what can I do to be so extraordinary at it that someone will eventually see me, feel me, and touch me in a way that will be a step up to my next journey? Because you might not like your job, but I can tell you right now, if you do more than you're asked and you find a way to be exceptional at it, even though you might like it, because true character is about doing things you don't feel like doing
Mm.
and doing it anyway really well, that
Yeah.
builds character. That builds character. Go ask, I mean, Kobe Bryant's passed on, but go ask them, did you like getting up at 3:30 in the morning and shooting freaking 25 free throws? No, I don't want to get up at 3:30. I want to sleep. But that's exactly why I did it, because I didn't want to do it. And you're like, wait a minute, this job sucks. So now that's a good idea. Job sucks. I need to be really good at this job, because once that preparation meets opportunity, boom,
Yeah.
I'm on to the next killer thing. Where do you think your colleagues? I can't tell you how many times I've seen a guy waiting tables and just, I tell you, kid, you know what? You are a phenomenal communicator. Your smile, the way you interact with people. My name's Dave Fullmer. If you ever leave this job, I want you to call me. I have a job for you. I don't care where you want to go. You're going to sell for me. Sell, 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 because you're amazing at it. Right? And I've hired so many people. Oh, Dave, you know what? 3 months later, Dave, you know what? You told me about that job, and they ended up just leveling up. So you never know who's watching. Do your
Yeah.
job exceptionally well. Motivation Monday. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Write everything you want to do in your life and put it down. You got to paint your picture. And it doesn't happen all at once. Ask a painter. They first draw the outline of the
Yeah.
silhouette and the mountains. And it's just with a little piece of charcoal. And then all of a sudden, little stroke at a time, you can see a little bit more of the trees and the rocks and the ocean. And then 10 years, a decade's gone by, and you're like, wow, look at this beautiful painting of my life I painted. Well, that's because you wrote down all these fundamentals of this is who you wanted to be. You just had to do the little teeny touches on it. But you had that foundation. So that's
Yeah.
Motivation Monday. Okay. Moving into Tracking Tuesday, because everybody loves Tuesday. That's today. What a beautiful day. Tracking Tuesday. It's the day of the avatar. It's the day of awareness. I have to know how I'm showing up, Darren. God gave me 2 eyes and 2 ears. Okay. And I'm blabbing my mouth away. It's Tuesday. Usually I shut up a lot on Tuesday. Believe it or not, I perform a miracle. I'm quiet.
Yeah.
But he gave me 1 mouth. So
Yeah.
on Tuesdays, the day of avatar, the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day, and they're negative. 80% of them are negative. So you have to control your thoughts. You have to look at the cup half full. You have to look at everything as a step up, not a way out, all this different things. It's really being aware of yourself. How are you communicating with people? Are you a story stealer? You ever been
Mm.
at a party with a guy that's like, you tell your golf story and he's like, then he tells a golf story that's the exact same story, but it's like 10 notches higher than the guy behind
That's
you.
right.
Going around, oh, yeah. I had to stop doing that. I realized I was doing it, and I stepped back and I let my friend have his moment. And there's a vibration, a connection with another human being. The time will come for you to tell that story one other time. Be engaging with someone. Really take in what someone's saying. And on a vibrational level, subconsciously, that person will trust you more when you
Mm.
listen more, when you look and make eye contact. When you're doing these little subtle things, people trust you more, your
Yeah.
customers, your business clients. You ever sat with someone that's trying to sell you something and you already bought it in your head. You already told them you want it. It's the oversell. I always tell guys, dude, they just said they want to sign the contract. Quit telling them about the warranty. The hook is in the fish. It's on the boat. That thing's gonna slip and jump out. So it's really being aware of how we're showing up. How are we communicating with our kids? Are we getting along with people? Are we making sure that we're treating people with respect? So that's Tuesday. It's tracking Tuesday. I want to be an avatar. I want to step out and watch the video of my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We move on to Wednesday. This is the balance point. This is where I like to ride my wheelies. I want to keep my little Honda 50 right in the balance point. You know what I mean? And that's Wednesday, and that's when we tune all electronics out, news, nothing. And you get into an organic environment and you soak in. Darren, if you were to ask first responders, doctors, airline pilots, FBI agents, anyone that's people's responsibility for them to save lives. And you were say, hey, did you ever do something on a hunch? And it came true. Oh, dude, you better just get that white paper out with a pen because you're going to be like, pop some popcorn and sit on the lazy boy. This guy's got stories. Every doctor's going to tell you he made a decision that saved someone's life based on intuition because they have a heightened sense. Just like the gym, you've got to exercise intuition.
Yeah.
But we don't take the time to throw that stupid phone in the corner, go in the woods, and just listen to the whisper in the wind. Well, Dave,
Mm.
what am I listening for? Nothing. Quietness. Wait, you got to stop listening to outside forces. Your heart is hurting at times.
Mm.
Your heart is excited about something at times. And we can't hear it, Darren, because of the noise.
Yeah.
Did you know that leaves on trees from like 5 a.m. until like when the sun comes out, when they hear the melodies of birds, their pores open up and suck in the dewdrops of the morning?
There you go.
How heavy is that? Why? Because they're listening to the whisper. They're like, they can hear that whispering, beautiful chirping of birds, and they know it's time to take in the inspiration. And
Mm.
it's the same with us. We walk on the beach, we hike in the mountains, we go to an organic. You and I are organic. We're dust. We're just these walking around, and eventually we're gonna be dust, dude. I got an expiration date, you do too. Yours is probably longer than mine, but that's okay. But the point of the matter is is we're dust. And we need to get into that environment. Take your shoes off and walk in the mud. It doesn't
Mm.
matter. Get somewhere away from everybody and listen to the whisper. So that's my Whisper Wednesday. I always treat myself to a little bit of music on the way home. But if I do listen to music on Whisper Wednesday, it is always a philosophical talk on stoicism, something very quiet and calm that
Yeah.
is deep in thought. And I will only listen to something that's like symphony and very slow and mellow. And I can tell you, I've had some of the most amazing emotional breakthroughs on Wednesday just sitting next to a tree doing not a dang thing.
But
Just,
that's exactly how things work, right? You got to be, but you got to be open and receptive to that. But if you got these things all over the place and you're always distracted by that, you'll never create the space for that to come to you.
yeah. And your vibration, like your vibration, it when it has so much cortisol and stress and you're not in a state of meditation, when you go meditate in the mountains and just sit on a rock
Mm.
and lay there, you and sometimes your mind wanders and that's okay. But when you do it again and again and again, you get into a nuts emotional and mental state to take on heavy challenges. You will have it come to you. It's inside you. The answer is within all of you.
Totally. Totally.
So, Whisper
Whisper
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Love it.
Everybody knows the next. See, everybody already knows half of B7 because they know Monday through Sunday. We've been living it for thousands of years, Derek. So easy to say this. So moving into Thursday, when's Thanksgiving for America? It's Thankful Thursday. It's on Thursday every year. It's a day of gratitude. We wake up, we thank everyone we see. Like you said, you make eye contact. It's a complete day of gratitude. You text message, you email everyone. You think of everyone that you're grateful for and you send them messages. You know, I was in Home Depot the other day. I'm walking down the aisle and it's Thursday. I see this like 86-year-old couple totally scrapping over what color of tile to put in their kitchen. You know, I'm over here. This lady's like just rallying this guy like a dog, you know, and he's taking it and he's fighting back the best he can. But, you know, they were like waddling down the aisle arguing with each other. But it was craziest thing. They had the coolest looking outfit out of the 80s. I mean, I swear my grandpa might have spanked me with the kind of Levi's this guy had on. Things are epic. I almost want to say, hey, dude, where'd you get them? But he wasn't my size, or I would have tried to buy them off him. But they were the old brown, like almost bell bottom
Yeah.
type Levi's. I was like, wow, those are epic. Anyway, and I was so grateful they had lasted that long. And it was Thankful Thursday, and I interrupted their little scrap. And I said, pardon me, I hate to bother you, but I want you to know that my dream is to one day be in aisle 37 in front of this very tile, arguing with my wife about the tile. And I want to thank you that you made it this far. You guys made it. I dream of being with my wife. I've been married 23 years, and I want to be old arguing about tile with you. And I mean, this lady just broke down in tears. And it
Wow.
just, all the anger out of the discussion, they gave me a big hug, and we sat and talked about life. And it was like that perspective of like, wow, we've made 60 years of marriage, right? We made 60 years. They've been married over 60. I'm just like heavy, you know?
Yeah.
Me, I see a beautiful masterpiece. To them at the moment, they're in the octagon, like, come on, Queensberry rules, you know, like, and I just, it's just like, boom, Thankful Thursday lifted somebody up. And I tell you, there's an old saying, an army of lions led by a sheep will always be defeated by an army of sheep that's led by a lion.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is attitude.
Yes.
And attitude is almost the same word as gratitude. So if
Totally.
attitude of gratitude, it's like, well, I've seen guys with all their limbs chopped off. I have a nephew with no arms and no legs who's born with a special condition. And my son, my little brother's never raised him like anything's wrong with him. He's got this little motorized cart. He's got his little nub. And I'm going to get this kid barreled. We already know. Once we get this, we're going to get him to the surf ranch, and we're going to get him totally barreled. This kid's going to surf. But you see him on a skateboard, and you see him just going around, and he uses his mouth and his little nub, and he's the happiest kid on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen fully limbed kids running around, very blessed, that are miserable compared to this kid.
Yeah.
And so perspective is so important. And it's so more important than perception, because you could look at this little kid and go, "Oh, the poor little kid. He's got no arms and no legs." But don't go talk to him. He'll be like, "Screw you! What are you talking about, dude? Watch me do nutties." This kid's on fire. He doesn't even know. You know. I mean, I'm
Awesome.
sure the challenge is getting into the older age, but the kid is going to figure it out. I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt him. Painter. This kid is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so your attitude and saying there is always a way, there is always something to be grateful for. And so you're high on dopamine. You're like, yeah, I got this. I'm super grateful. That trickles us right into Friday, like we were talking before. When do we get bad news? Friday. Why? Because that's the parties tomorrow. Work's over. Meet your mates over at the local pub, whatever you do for fun. Right? So everybody's super stoked, and that's the best time to drop the bad news. Well, I've got some good news for you. One of the hardest superhuman attributes in this life is true forgiveness. And it's Forgiveness Friday. You cannot come across a superhuman, high-level thinker, earner, doer, athlete that sits around and sulks about the past or brings up this and that and this and that. They don't do it. They don't live with it. You're like an eagle. You soar. You got all this stuff all over your wings. You need to be clean and flying and just coasting through the sky like effortlessly. You don't want to be a pigeon down talking crap about your neighbor all day. That's what pigeons do, baby. We need to be eagles, Darren. I want to be an eagle next. And the 4 steps of forgiveness are forgive your family members, uncles, aunts, grandmas. I don't care what it is. Let it go. You don't have to let people hurt you. You don't have to let people in your life, but you have to let it go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you need to forgive people regular people every day. They're human. They make
Mm.
mistakes. Let move on to the next,
Yeah.
next. Right?
Love it.
The whisper's going to tell you who to engage with or who's sincere when they apologize. And the third thing is you got to forgive yourself.
Mm.
You have to look in the mirror and say, I love you, Dave. Darren's got to wake up, brush his teeth with his left hand, open up the circadian rhythm and be like, Darren, I love you. I forgive you. You totally sucked yesterday. That podcast was terrible. You know, and you got to let it go. And you go to the next day and you just let it go. It's Forgiveness Friday. And then the final act of forgiveness is if you know you've done something wrong, say sorry.
Yeah.
Just ask for forgiveness and say sorry. And that's Forgiveness Friday. It's the best day to learn it. I live
Oh,
here in Hawaii. When I travel to the mainland, it's an hour difference there than it is back. Why? It's the same plane, same pilot, same distance, same amount of fuel, same people, and same plane. My brain's just breaking. Well, because there's a headwind and a tailwind.
yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to sit and spin your tires all day long and be all pissed off about all the bad things that happened to you, well, good luck with that. Because I'm on the one-way ticket. I want to get there
Mm.
faster. So you travel faster. You get more into a flow state when you let things go.
Yeah.
Okay. And moving on to Saturday, we all know what's next. And it's Satisfaction Saturday. Darren, no one on their deathbed says, oh, I wish I had one more Maserati, or I wish I would have built another. Wish I had this. Everyone's like, yeah, oh my gosh, Billy, I'm sorry. Uncle Steve, I love you. I'm sorry. I'm on my deathbed. Oh, I got a little Johnny. Oh, now Johnny doesn't want to talk to me because it's been 20 years since we got in a fight at that family reunion. You know what I mean? And so have fun with the ones that you love. It's more important to move on from Forgiveness Friday. Forgive your family members. If you can hang out with them and it's not, well, I'm not safe around them. Give me a break. Are you really
Mm.
not safe? If you're really not safe, I get that. But if you guys are arguing about mom and dad's retirement, get over it.
Yeah.
Just get over it. Go have fun. Make a memory. There's a reason why I love to make money, Darren. You want me to tell you why? I'm going to
Well,
tell you. No, you're totally just stoked on what I'm going to tell you. And the reason I want to make money so I can have moments. So in the end, when I'm all gray and I'm in that hospital bed, I have thousands of memories.
yeah.
And I'm surrounded by my loved ones saying, remember that? Remember that? Dad, remember we went to Australia and went to Yeppoon and surfed the surf lake? Oh, amazing, son. Dad, remember that hike that one time we all got chased by goats off the mountain? Oh, that was amazing. Remember we went to Tahiti and the waves were firing and I totally got barreled and you're right in the channel with your hands up. That's why I make money. I don't make money to have money. I
Yeah.
do it because it is a way and a power structure that's always been around for me to run my own life. I want to make money because I want memories.
Yeah.
That's it. I want to change lives. There's an old saying here in America. All my buddies for years would be like, oh, that guy over there, he's got FU money. And it really, like, FU money is like, yeah, I mean, he could tell anybody he wants to F off and he's got big old boots. And I was like, oh, yeah. Well, I've changed that and I've coined love you money. That guy
Yeah.
has love you money. That guy's got so many resources that he can start a foundation. He can donate this. He can donate roofs. He has so much power of change. And it's another reason why how many billionaires on their deathbed all of a sudden start to get into philanthropy.
Yeah.
They're about to give up the ghost and face God. And they're like, shit, I've got all this money. And they just start The kid's struggling with studying foundation, billionaire, 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 billionaire. But then there's no one in the room.
Mm,
See it along the path. And it doesn't matter if you donate $1, 1 penny, or $1 billion.
yeah.
It's all in the eye of the beholder. It's all someone that we are using our resources to bless the lives of others. Because there's two types of people out there. There's people who use people to get things, and then there's people who use things to bless people.
Yes.
I want to be Darren. I want to be somebody like, dude, Marcus, nothing is worth having that's not shared.
Mm.
Nothing. I have the
That's
nicest you in the world. And I can sit and cook steaks by myself. But man, when I put 10 tomahawks on there and feed 20 people and I show them my new butter I've just made,
yeah.
I love it.
And that's what satisfaction is all about.
That
Fulfillment.
just truly fulfilled.
Love it.
Having met the ones you love. I mean, how many guys are like, oh, I don't have time for this, son. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I got to work. You know what? Work's always going to be there. You're always going to be behind. The bills are always going to be there. Give it a break. Go have fun. Just put it all aside. Just
Love it.
go have it.
Love it.
Yeah, that's
And the
satisfaction.
and the last one, which is Sunday. What's the Sunday one?
Well, I'm wearing the shirt today because I love my jiu-jitsu family. So I've been in Brazilian jiu-jitsu for 15 years. I'm a brown belt, and I'm working on getting my black belt. It's hard. It's one of the hardest martial arts to be a black belt in. And if anyone asks me, hey, Dave, what have you learned 15 years rolling around with a bunch of stinky, sweaty dudes? One of the smallest guys in the gym. So I'm not going to tell you I'm some bad dude, because I'm not. What I'm going to tell you is I learned humility.
Yeah.
I learned this, Darren. I learned to do this. That's called tapping out. If you ever watch the UFC, when do they know the fight's over? You submit.
Yeah.
Admitting I can't go on anymore, or my arm's going to get broken, or I'm going to pass out, I'm going to die, and my ankle's going to be taken, my knee's going to be busted. So I'm tapping out. And too many times we have such an ego, which stands for edging God out. We can't do this without a higher power.
Mm.
I don't care who your God is. I don't care if you make them up. But there's got to be someone greater in the sky that designed you and knows you and loves you. And so it's Supplication Sunday. I need to submit to a higher power. I need to go to my knees and plead with God and say, God, I can't do this without you. I'm tapping out.
Mm.
Tapping out right now to my life. I'm tapping out to my ego. I'm tapping out to the problems. I'm tapping out to even when times are good. God, I'm tapping out. Things are so good right now. Pinch me, I'm dreaming. I need somebody with a bad attitude. I'm waiting for the next hurdle. Crap, things have gotten so good lately. You're just ready to answer the phone. I just get anxiety when things are going so well. I'm like, geez, what's the next big move?
Yeah.
So Supplication Sunday, that's B7, that's the rhythm. And of course, in the book, I have all the stories and the various different things. But it's incredible. Once you live it for 28 days, I'll tell you what, Darren, you can't not live with those intentions. You'd be surprised how many times someone pisses you off on Friday. You're like, I can't tell you how many times I've been in an argument with my wife, and I look at her, we look at each other, we're like, it's Friday.
Forgiveness Friday. Let it go. Say sorry.
Everything's Thursday, and you're like, well, at least the sky's blue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, that's absolutely brilliant. So really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much. For people listening to this, a couple of things. One is if they want to connect with you and learn more about you and what you're doing, where's the best place for them to connect with you, but also how they get a copy of the book.
So they can go on Amazon, and it's Becoming Seven, the Superhuman Rhythm. They can go to David Fullmer, David Fullm, as in Mary ER.com, and order the book right from there. They can also request, I'm giving away a free digital copy right now on my Instagram. If they give me a follow and message the word superhuman in my DMs, I'll give them a free digital copy. It's like $10 other than that. but they get it for free. I'm going to keep that up for 90 days.
Cool.
And any listeners. So if anyone has listened to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast, even if I go past that 90 days, depending on when this airs, I will
Yeah.
give them a free digital copy. Just put Exceptional Sales Leader and put the word superhuman, and all your listeners will get a free digital copy. And yeah, that's where they can find me.
Beautiful. Mate, thank you. I'll put all that in the show notes and highly recommend people check you out, connect with you, and also get a copy of the book, mate. So it's been an absolute pleasure having your podcast and keep up the great work, my friend.
Yeah, aloha, Darren. You're a legend, and thanks for me just spilling the beans on this Tracking Tuesday. Usually, I'm the avatar, and I'm quiet, but man, you brought out the beast in me. So thank you.
Love it. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Aloha.
Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.